when I first started using it, I actually just became aware of the connections that were occurring around me, that I figured out that they were actually connected, whereas before I might have thought that they were more coincidences that occurred sort of outside of me. And the example is, Greg and I were in Sedona, and he gave me a pendant to wear that day. Notice I bought one since then.
He's bought lots since then.
And I started wearing it, and there was a person there from Montana, and I kept noticing whenever she would walk into the room, either she would look at me or I would look at her. We'd both look at each other, but we never spoke throughout this whole conference. And at the very end of the conference, somebody came to me and knew that I did healing work, and they said, "Oh, this woman over here has a migraine headache, and could you help her?" And so I said yes, and I went over to help her, and it turned out to be this particular woman, Monica. So as I was helping her, the headache went away, and she said, "But I have this incredible pain in my right eye." And I said, "Oh, that's because you shot somebody with an arrow in a prior life." And the pain went immediately away. And she said, "Oh my God, it was you." The night before that, I had been working with a different person, and I saw all these Indian faces on this other woman. And as I was seeing these faces, she was seeing other faces on me. Monica, the woman who had shot someone with an arrow, said, "I have to show you something." This is the next day. And she reaches in her purse or bag and pulls out these pictures of various Indians that she had drawn some 3 years before. And she said, "These are my ancestors." And I was given this, I'm not even an artist, but she's a great artist. And she said, these pictures I drew out in the desert some 3 years before, and they were the faces that I had seen on Elena the evening before. At that very moment, Elena came walking by, and we called her over, and she said, "Oh my God, those are the faces I saw on you," because I didn't recognize all the faces. What I feel about these pendants is that when you are intent upon focusing on whatever is the highest for you, that you will be drawn to those kinds of things if you are trusting your own intuition and what really feels right to you, feeling right from the outside, not necessarily the emotion.
And yet, what was happening with the pendant in that situation was he was becoming more in tune and aware of other dimensional realities, and that's what happens with the pendant. You see, time is totally different in the fifth dimension. You can bend it back on itself. It isn't the way we look at it here. So many of the things we look at here don't even relate to the three-dimensional universe. They relate to the two-dimensional universe. And time is one of those things. It's a linear thing for us. Well, so that's one of our problems, not even getting into three dimensions. But when you start working with these higher dimensional energies, you'll start seeing time bend. You'll start seeing things happen and relate where you didn't see relationships before. It's recognizing relationship and acting on it and being able to be out of time sequence. What you're starting to do and work on is not just your own life right now. When I asked earlier about how many of you, talking about money, it's like, well, we've got some problems. It's like, we're always playing catch up, trying to get the money thing, trying to get the body fixed, trying to get the boyfriend or girlfriend, trying to get, whatever. It's like all these things are broken in our lives. It's like, let's get past that into some grand stuff. And then the other stuff takes care of itself. The right people show up when you're emanating who you are. You can't stop that flow when it wants to flow. And when you start playing on higher dimensional levels, you have to start recognizing the way time bends, the way you can interact with universe in other ways, the way physical and non-physical beings show up to be there, and you recognize them. And it's just a wonderful aspect of starting to work with stuff on the causal level. You can start to learn things on higher levels so you don't have to go through the knocks and the pains here to learn them. I mean, wouldn't that be nice if you didn't have to have a car wreck or say, man, I figured this one out now, or you didn't have to keep getting involved with the same kind of people. If you can learn that, learn it on a higher level. And then bring it in. Say, okay, I'm ready for the next thing. Because things are speeding up. They're speeding up for everyone. That's part of the process of the higher dimensional energies coming in and interfacing with this dimension. Things just are going faster and faster. And partially, that's a function of the fifth dimensional way of working with time that is not quite the way we've been used to working with time. So you can skip around. You can bend it. You can create. But that's the fun thing. See, the fun thing is, once you start seeing the possibility, you can start creating the possibility. You can start taking responsibility for the possibility. And that, that's the joy of being in a human body.